Hello and welcome to the coronavirus update for the 19th of Depressing 2020, where we have almost 5 million cases in the world and about 320,000 people have died from this. And before I get on to the main meat of this video, which is Trump saying that he's taking hydroxychloroquine, I just want to make a quick comment on the changing top 10 in the coronavirus. So America's, still holds the top with about a third of the world's cases. Russia is still, if you take a look at the total confirmed cases, they're still going boom. But, it's starting to level off, in terms of new daily cases. Virtually all of the mainland European countries, early on, the top of the league was dominated by European countries and China. And as time went on, if you take a look at the European countries in total confirmed cases, they're all leveling off. Spain, not so bad. Italy, not so bad. France, not so bad. Germany, definitely not so bad. The only one who's not is the United Kingdom, who's chuntering up fairly well. But Brazil's a weird one. It's got one of these presidents or prime ministers who doesn't believe in the coronavirus. And so he's refusing to basically take any action against it. So this is going to be a very interesting case study in that if you take a look at the daily cases, this is still going boom. Don't believe the last day. But, they are about to knock the United Kingdom out of the top 3. United Kingdom's getting about 5,000 cases per day. Brazil is almost up to 10,000 cases per day. So that will knock the last European country out of the top 3. And China is all the way down here. Position 12 or something. Anyway, the thing that I mainly wanted to look at today was Donald Trump saying that he now takes hydroxychloroquine, which is fairly depressing on many levels because first of all, you don't expect it to work as a drug. Secondly, every serious clinical trial has shown no benefit from hydroxychloroquine. So let's, the volume is a bit quiet here. There's not a lot I can do about it. This is straight from the Fox feed, and I'll leave the feed on here so you can see the sort of comments that are coming up.
Signed it. Now, if he doesn't believe in it, why would he sign it? And a lot of good things have come out about the hydroxy. A lot of good things have come out.
No, a lot of good things haven't come out about hydroxychloroquine. A lot of the good things haven't come out.
And you'd be surprised at how many people are taking it, especially the frontline workers, before you catch it.
I'm not so sure about that. You see, the frontline workers tend to have a better understanding of medication than other folks. And if there is no evidence that it works, why would you be taking this drug?
The frontline workers, many are taking it. I happen to be taking it.
Boom.
I happen to be taking it.
It's interesting he says everything twice.
Many are taking it. I happen to be taking it. I happen to be taking it.
Hydroxychloroquine?
I'm taking it, hydroxychloroquine.
When?
Right now, yeah. A couple of weeks ago, I started taking it.
So, according to this, Trump is now taking hydroxychloroquine.
I think it's good. I've heard a lot of good stories. And
I mean, this is the thing. He's heard a lot of good stories. That's not how you determine if a medication works. I'm quite sure that if you went to Alex Jones's website, he would have a lot of good stories as well about all of the things that he sells. And if you went to a faith healing site, they would have a lot of good stories as well. Right? Having a lot of good stories is not how medication is done.
It's not good, I'll tell you right. I'm not going to get hurt by it.
And that's simply not true. Um, the drug that he's talking about, hydroxychloroquine, I can't remember whether it's the FDA or the CDC, but either one of them basically said that you should only give the drug in a hospital environment because it can cause an erratic heartbeat. And seeing as if your heart kind of stops, you don't live for very long, best to be near some medical attention just in case.
It's been around for 40 years for malaria, for lupus, for other things. I take it.
What?
It's
Please?
been around for 40 years for malaria, for lupus, for other things. I take it.
I'd take it. Like, I would take it. Like, I'm not currently taking it.
Frontline workers take it. A lot of doctors take it. Excuse me. A lot of doctors take it. I take it.
And he says it again, like 5 seconds later. But, yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Hydroxychloroquine. Let's go
Around
back.
for 40 years for malaria, for lupus, for other things. I take
Yeah, for malaria and for lupus. You see, this is the thing. You don't take drugs when you're healthy because they frequently make you worse than if you weren't taking the drugs. They're called side effects. So the way it typically boils down is there is a hazard from the disease that you've got or the infection or whatever. And not doing anything has risks. Now, taking the drug has risks as well, but they are small compared to the risks of the disease. Now, that's why this thing is a safe drug for things like malaria, because malaria is bad if you get it. So, yeah, just because it's relatively safe for things like malaria doesn't mean, I mean, Christ, look, this is the thing. America has, even as we speak, almost no cases of coronavirus, if you're looking in terms of percent. 1.5 million out of 300 million Americans. So that's 0.5%. 5 people per 1,000 in America have been confirmed as having this. So if you're now talking about giving an anti-malaria drug to people to prevent the coronavirus, you don't have to have many problems with giving that drug to millions of people before it's actually causing more trouble than the actual disease itself, which is one of the reasons why people do clinical trials to prove that it's worthwhile taking the drug. You don't just take drugs because you don't think there's going to be any side effects or something.
take it. Frontline workers take it. A lot of doctors take it. Excuse me. A lot of doctors take it. I take it.
I'm going to push X to doubt on, well, maybe a lot of doctors do take it, but not a significant fraction of doctors. And again, he's into this, I would take it, like he's not currently taking it.
Yeah, I hope to not be able to take it soon because, I hope they come up with some answer. But I think people should be allowed to. I got a letter from...
No, that's not how medication works. If people had complete free access to all of these biologically active compounds, you would have many, many more deaths from people giving themselves poor medication than you would from the disease, right? You want to control people taking biologically active compounds that can have serious health effects.
From a doctor the other day from Westchester, New York, around the area. He didn't want anything. He just said, sir, I have hundreds of patients, and I give them hydroxychloroquine. I give them the Z-Pak, which is zithromycin.
That's an antibiotic, by the way.
And I give them zinc.
And at this point, he's gone full tin hat conspiracy theorist. The you've got to add zinc thing. Biochemistry is complex. And in trying to fight a virus is super complex. The one thing that you never expect, I don't think there is any treatment for any disease which just involves giving someone a single ion, like, sodium or potassium or zinc. They're just not things that you associate with being biologically active. I mean, bear in mind, there has been 4.5 billion years of evolutionary battle between organisms and viruses. And at no point did the organisms work out that you just have to add zinc and the ionophores and all that sort of thing, and boom, you kill the virus. No.
And out of the hundreds of patients, many hundreds, over 300 patients, I haven't lost one.
Right. So, according to his anecdote here, this doctor didn't lose a single patient. So it must be super 100% effective. Even if they were really sick, you would still expect them to just get better if you gave them the hydroxychloroquine, the antibiotic, and the zinc. Right? This is important because he's going to contradict this directly in a few seconds.
He said, please keep pressing that, sir. And if you look at that phony report that was put in,
Phony report?
that report on the hydroxy was given to people that were in extraordinarily bad condition. Extraordinarily bad. People that were dying.
Yes, that's usually the people who you want to give drugs to. Effective drugs to save them. And he was just telling us that there's this doctor who said 100% of his patients get better. Now, all of a sudden, if you give it to sick people, they don't get better?
No, I think for whatever it's worth, I take it. I was...
Again, past tense. Future tense. I would take it.
I would have told you that 3-4 days ago, but we never had a chance because you never asked me the question.
Did the White House doctor recommend that you take that? Is that why you're taking it?
Yeah, White House doctor.
I doubt that. It's not quite medical malpractice in that, if the federal guidelines are you should only administer the drug in a hospital setting. I mean, Trump is sort of borderline on this in that he has very good access to medical facilities. But no, doctors don't recommend unnecessary treatment.
I didn't recommend. No, I asked him, what do you think? He said, well, if you'd like it. I said, yeah, I'd like it.
And again, you don't just go up to a doctor and say, I want this drug. And then the doctor says, all right, here you go.
To take it. A lot of people are taking it. A lot of frontline workers are taking hydroxychloroquine.
Again, might need to see some evidence about that.
A lot of I don't take it because, hey, people said, oh, maybe he owns the company. No, I don't own the company. You know what? I want the people of this nation to feel good. I don't want them being sick.
Cocaine?
And there's a very good chance that this has an impact.
No, there isn't. Every study that has been done, all of the bigger, more well-conducted studies show there is no significant effect. I mean, the one he was talking about, his phony report, they're all small number statistics, but that wasn't, that showed it actually had twice the mortality rate as not taking it. With the other studies, they basically show there's no effect.
Especially early on. But you look at frontline workers, you look at doctors and nurses, a lot of them are taking it as a preventative. And they're taking, totally unrelated, but they take the Z-Pak or the zithromycin for possible infection.
Right. Now, this is again why you shouldn't just be dishing out drugs willy-nilly. The zithromycin he's talking about is an antibiotic. And of all the things that people will look back to in 50 years' time and say, what the hell were you thinking? We'll be using antibiotics like candy. You see, the reason that we're getting bacteria that are antibiotic resistant is because you've given them an evolutionary pressure to evolve. the way antibiotics work is there's only about 3 or 4 metabolic pathways that are different in your cells and a bacteria cells. And those are the ones targeted by antibiotics. Once the bacteria has become resistant to all the drugs that block the pathways in in the bacteria, but not in your cells, once all those pathways, you can't kill the bacteria like that. You can't stop bacteria, which means that even simple operations can be life-threatening. You know, the way that operations work now is you sort of chop people open, you do whatever you need to do, you sew them back up again, and you give them some antibiotics, because otherwise you get antibiotics deep in the body, you get bacteria deep in the body, and the infection can kill you. And if your bacteria are now antibiotic resistant, you're back to the days when, even minor injuries can carry a reasonable chance of infection and death.
Now, I haven't taken that other than
Yeah, and he's talking about giving antibiotics to millions of people who don't need them.
original dose, because all you need, you don't have to take it simultaneously. But the zinc you do take. So I'm taking the two, the zinc and the hydroxy. And all I can tell you is, so far, I seem to be okay.
Great. One person has taken drugs for a couple of weeks and didn't suffer health effects. Great. You have a clinical trial of one.
Can you explain further why you started taking it? Have you been
Yeah,
exposed?
because no, not at all. I just said that I've had so many letters from people, like the one I told you about. I got it last week. Would you like a copy of it? I'd love to give you. If you ask Molly, she'll give you a copy of it. But this is a doctor. He doesn't want anything. I don't know him, never heard of him. But he treats people that we're talking about. And he said out of hundreds of people that he's treated, he hasn't lost one.
Right. So a doctor claims to have miracle skills. Might be worth fact checking that one, before you assume that he does have miracle powers. I mean, this one came up in Contagion, that one of the first things that pop up are the people with the quick fixes, saying that they've got Forcinth or something, is the one that they have in Contagion, and he basically says it's a cure, and the government just don't want you to know about it. And of course, it's not a cure, but he gets lots of attention for claiming it is, or like the people who claim that it's caused by 5G.
And he just wanted me to know about it. That's all. He wasn't saying, gee, could I have dinner with you, Mr. President? I'd like to come to the White House. But I've received many such letters. I've received a lot of positive letters. And
Who are these people writing letters?
seems to have an impact. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't.
Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Well, maybe that would be a good time to take a look at the clinical trials.
But if it doesn't, you're not going to get sick or die. This is
Well, that's just not true. Some people who have taken this have gotten erratic heartbeats. So it's not exactly harmless.
pill that's been used for a long time, for 30, 40 years, on the malaria and on lupus too, and even on arthritis, I guess, from what I understand. So it's been heavily tested in terms of, I was just waiting to see your eyes light up when I said this, but, when I announced this. But yeah, I've taken it for about a week and a half now, and I'm still here.
Great. Clinical trial of one. Assuming that he has actually taken it, the I would take it. Doesn't really sound like you're taking it at the moment.
Can you explain, sir, though, what is the evidence that it has a preventative effect?
Here we go. You ready? Here's my evidence. I get a lot of positive calls about it.
Oh, Jesus. You've got to be kidding me. Someone tell me that this isn't the guy in charge.
The only negative I've heard was the study where they gave it, was it the VA with,
Yeah. The only negative things that I've heard are from the clinical trials.
people that aren't big Trump fans gave it, and we
Oh, not big Trump fans. It's not that. So everyone who's doing clinical trials are not big Trump fans. Or maybe it's just that you don't like them because they don't produce the result that you want.
we've done the greatest job maybe of anything in the VA, because I got VA choice and VA accountability both approved. Accountability, Tillman, is where you can fire bad people that work in the VA. That you
I
couldn't
think he
fire
rambles
them. We
on
had
for about.
thousands of people that were sadists.
He's going on.
that were
He just goes off on
stealing,
this
that were
tangent
robbers, that
about
were
the
horrible
Veterans
people.
Administration.
They beat up our veterans.
That's
They
basically
couldn't do it in
the
prime
hospital
time,
for the
but they did
veterans.
it in civil service. In the VA, we got rid of tremendously bad people that should never been there. But I also got, probably even more importantly, if you can say that, maybe not, VA choice. So if you have to wait online for a doctor, you have pricing. So you go out, you pay the bill. And it was a great thing that we did. So we've done a great job with the VA, but they had a report come out, and the results of the tremendously positive news on the hydroxy. And I say, hey, you know the expression I've used, John? What do you have to lose?
Well, quite a lot, which is why the federal recommendations are don't use it outside of a hospital setting.
Okay, what do you have to lose?
To take medicine?
I have been taking it for about a week and a half.
Every day?
At some point, every day. I take a pill every day. At some point, I'll stop. What I'd like to do is I'd like to have the cure and/or the vaccine, and that'll happen.
You're not going to get a cure. You are absolutely not going to get a cure. Right? The only thing you can get for a virus is your immune system is basically what kills off the virus. Actually getting a drug that is effective against this virus, you can work for decades on those things and still not make any decent progress.
I think very soon.
You've had no symptoms, sir?
Zero symptoms. No, I haven't had any. No, I tested. I test every couple of days. They want to test me, for obvious reasons. I mean, I am the president, so they want to test me. I don't want to be tested, but they want to test me. So every couple of days I get tested, and I've shown always negative, right? Negative. Is that the term you use for this?
Yes, that is the term that we use for not having the coronavirus.
Right? Negative. Totally negative. No symptoms, no nothing. But no, I take it because I think I hear very good things. Again, you have to go.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure if you went and looked for crystal healing, you would hear good things. And if you went and looked for faith healing, you would hear good things. And if you went and looked for whatever, the zinc, you would get good, you would hear good things.
Go to frontline workers. Many frontline workers take it. And
Jesus, how many
seem to be
times has he
doing
said
very well.
frontline workers?
Frontline workers take it, and they seem to be doing very well.
Well, yeah. Does that factor in the fact that the virus, let's say it kills 5% of people. So 95% of people get better anyway. So if people were taking gummy bears, you would hear good things because 95% of them would get better. And the 5% who die, you wouldn't hear anything from.
Any other members of your administration, Vice President Pence, or your family
No,
members?
but I wouldn't be
taken this?
surprised. I don't want to ask them because that's a personal decision as to whether or not you want to say. I just want to be open with the American public because, I happen to think it's good. I do want the letter given because this letter made, not in terms of my taking it, but I thought it was a very well-crafted letter by a man who's a respected doctor.
Again, what the hell's with all these letters?
Up in Westchester, maybe a little beyond Westchester, a little up higher, and in New York. And he didn't want anything. He just wanted me to know that.
This is the third time we've had this story in almost as many minutes.
The results of what he's doing as a doctor, and he was so happy with the fact that I fight for this stuff. And then we have this crazy whistleblower, this fake whistleblower, get out and try and, knock it.
The fake whistleblower. I mean, I don't think he's quite worked out that there have been several trials in different countries around the world, and all of them have shown no effect.
Who signed the application? He did all this. He did the signing. He was a believer at one point, I assume. Otherwise, he shouldn't have signed it. No matter who told him to, he shouldn't have signed it. Okay, one more question. That's it.
Yeah, okay, and I think I'm going to call it quits at that, because it's just kind of depressing. Anyway, let's hope that things get better. In the meanwhile, I'm going to leave you with that as a thought. Maybe leave a thumbs up on this video, and see you next time. Thanks for watching.